Noemi, thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So let's get into Holidazed. I loved the series. I mean, I got to watch it. It was such a fun holiday series. And like I was telling other cast members, you know, it's Hallmark, so you think it's like gushy, you know, a holiday, you know, that kind of thing. But you guys really portrayed a realistic approach. Right, of what the holidays are, running into your high school bullies, having your house lights shut down when you try to plug in the tree, you know, all these different things that you don't see on social media. Right. So how much fun was it to bring this portrayal to life?
What a great question.
Wonderful question. It was a blast because I really feel like in this world of social media, everyone wants to do the highlights reel. And I just want to feel seen. One of my favorite movies is The Grinch, and it's because they need love too, the people that are going through it. And especially in the holiday season, you need that love, and we all have inner battles, so you see it within each family. And then you see it, how it can transpire next door in this cul-de-sac. So it's really cool to feel seen for once as opposed to it being so pristine. I naturally am like, the holiday season's coming up. What do I got to get? What present? What wrapping? Like, it just starts. And so I felt so like cozy that I could go through this journey with this neighborhood.
Yeah, I think that was well said. It was such a joy to do this show because you do feel seen by it. And we talked about this earlier, that everybody's going to feel seen by it. They're going to be like, oh, that's totally me. Oh, that's totally me too. Oh, that is my grandma. You know, like it is going to, it's so relatable. And it's real, it's messy, and it's also heartfelt and authentic, which is everything the holidays are.
And still that pure joy of like of Hallmark really getting all of us together through those. We can touch on those things and still have this wonderful warmth at the end of it.
Yeah. I would just say it's like, it reminds me of like a 90s holiday movie, even though it's a miniseries. You know, there's this nostalgia aspect to it that reminds me of like a John Hughesian world, or even like, you know, it's just the Chevy Chase aspects to it. There's just a really beautiful, candid awkwardness that has like, that's infused with joy naturally. Just watching that.
Whatever can't happen will happen.
I think it's funny that you mentioned it's like when you're a kid, the holidays, you don't think about any of that. And then when you're an adult, yes, you want to still keep that magic, but it is stressful. It is tough, you know? And so with that, holidays, you kind of dive into other people's traditions. Do any of you have any super specific niche holiday traditions that you thought were normal and then you ask somebody else and they're like, no, it's just you?
That is a good question.
Oh, gosh.
You know, ever since I was a kid, my sister and I, we would go down, we would not wake our parents up, we would creep and we would get our stockings, and then we would open them up together because my mom was so cute. Santa would wrap each individual thing. I mean, it was like a toothpick, like it would get wrapped, and it was just little tiny things in our stockings. Yeah. But we would find the ones that were shaped alike. Anyway, it was always such a tradition. I mean, to this day, we do stockings first, but we thought that's how you were supposed to do it. You know, you do your stockings, and then you do Christmas.
Yes.
So I found out later that's not
it.
No, not everybody does that.
Tamales. as soon as tamales happen, it's holiday season. Their tradition is beginning, and not everyone has had a tamal. I've been on some sets where there's their iconic tamale scene, and some of the crew has never had one before. So I'm like, for me, it's such a staple. But when you have these worlds coming together, it's really cool that now my partner is Jewish, so now I have latkes. You know,
that's so cool.
So
do y'all have like a latke tamale plate?
Yes, yes,
so fun.
Yeah, and so like that's how that transpired in that way.
You should make a matzah tamale.
Ooh,
wouldn't that be so interesting?
One of the things.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Holland, she's like such a foodie. I love that so much. Holland is constantly like, oh wait, where are you? Oh my goodness, you have to go to this restaurant, this restaurant,
These
this
are places you
restaurant.
have to go. You have to go to that gelato place in Rome.
And a movie though, to Holland's point in the previous, a cinematic moment of holiday vibes, being that we're actors, I guess, maybe, and just that holiday time where all these specific genre movies come out. Definitely The Grinch, Home Alone. Yeah.
Oh gosh, you know, this is a dose of Southern white woman. Is my stepmom loves to go to Soul Cycle in the morning. So now we get to go to Soul Cycle
On Christmas?
on Christmas. Soul Cycle that morning.
That's not a Christmas present.
And then she champagne
Nice.
first thing in the morning.
I can get behind
You know what? I think it was a Christmas Eve Soul Cycle, if I remember correctly.
Either one.
Champagne in the morning. And then we take the Christmas tree right down after the 25th. There's some Hallmark weird movie that needs to be made about my stepmom. Because here's the irony is like she's full of love. She gives the best gifts. She's so thoughtful. She throws her all into it. But that's also her. It is alcohol first thing in the morning with bubbles. Take down the tree immediately. Sometimes it's right after we open presents.
Your mom is just like on it, on it,
This is my
on
stepmom.
it.
This is my stepmom.
Yeah.
And then my mom is the opposite. It's like February, the tree's coming down.
Aw.
So, but both have their own unique. Like, it's really, my stepmom is a lovely woman, so it's ironic that those are the things that we do at Christmas. But it's kind of funny. You're like, oh yeah, Kim's taking another tree. It's 12. You know, that tree's out there by 1 p.m. on
Kim.
Christmas.
That was so fun. I love hearing that. Now I'm gonna be thinking this year, like, okay, the tree is being taken down.
And the tree was always stunning. I mean, she's got such a beautiful, unique, like, personality. So it's not a bad thing. It's just funny because you're like, yeah, that's Kim.
I want to thank all three of you for sitting down with the Nocturnal. Holidays is such a fun Christmas series. I plan to watch it every single year, make it my own little tradition because it was so fun. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you all for sitting down with us and speaking with the Nocturnal today. How are all of you doing?
Pretty good.
Couldn't be happier.
Hey, man. We're in the Big Apple, baby. It's good times.
I got to screen Holidazed, and it was such a fun comedy. I love it. You know, even though it's Hallmark and you expect the sweet, gushy, you know, Christmas spirit, it was a fun and very realistic interpretation of what goes on during the holidays, right? There's, you know, the old school family beliefs. You're running into your old high school bullies. The lights are going out when you decide to, you know, light up the house. So tell me, how much fun was it to bring this, you know, painfully realistic idea to life?
I had never worked for Hallmark before. I think Denny had. And as a new experience for me, I felt like being surrounded by these astonishingly well-equipped crews and cast. You're not reinventing the wheel, and the Hallmark brand and the way they approach things is really efficient, unbelievably well done. And I like working quick. I like 3 or 4 takes and moving on. I don't necessarily think actors need 15 takes. I certainly know I don't. And that's the landscape where we were working. We were going. And I think that actors rely on their sensibilities instead of getting in their way when you do 3 or 4 takes. People engage quicker. And it's not necessarily sloppy if the cast and the crew are on the same page. And in my family, in the part of our ensemble, everybody was on the same frequency, and it was very ambitious. I think there are 27 principals, or maybe more, maybe 32, and we were cranking, and it never felt sloppy. It was right on, it was perfect, and I loved working that way. And I think what you saw, what it yielded was really clever storytelling and a well-told tale.
Yeah, well, the beauty of it was, and I think it was inadvertent, I don't think it was planned, but we were in a location where we were a good distance away from our trailers. So we all had to hang out on our set, which in this point was our house. So whenever we went into another scene or whatever, we were already there.
You're right.
So, and you can hear everything that was going on, you know, so you're never quite out of it. You know, even if you want to doze off or something, you're still mentally and physically and emotionally still in that house, and that energy is still there. It just permeates over everything. And we just sort of fell into it, which just enveloped us.
Yeah, I think operating in reality is really easy when you are working with fantastic actors, and when you do have a well-written script, and you do have great producers like Gina Matthews and. It was really easy. I always say, like, acting is hard, being is easy, and so we didn't really have to act in the scenarios because I think it was so relatable to all of us. A lot of the scenarios and stuff that we were experiencing as the characters were really, really easy to grasp onto, and so you know, it wasn't really acting. I was being me, he was being him, and you know, we were all being parts of ourselves. You know, so it was fun. It was pretty easy.
It really radiated on the screen, so amazing job. I do want to ask, because Holidays, you do dive into different traditions. Do any of you have any very unique or niche holiday traditions that you once thought was normal, and then you told somebody and they're like, you do that?
As I've suggested to the fellows, one thing unique to my family as a child and now as an adult is we do a family prayer around the Christmas tree on Christmas Eve, and we hold hands, and you're allowed to have the floor for whatever you want to say, whether you want to acknowledge abundance or acknowledge gratitude, or if you're 11 years old, you might have something very different to say than your 16-year-old sister or your 27-year-old special needs brother. And there's no wrong. You can't say anything wrong. And I think that liberates people to express things that are really lovely. And that's been my experience, and it's unique to my family. And it's something I preserve assiduously.
I mean, I grew up in a huge family. You know, I had 6 brothers, 2 sisters, my mother and father, and then that grew as they got married and got children. So now I have 27 great nieces and nephews, 9 or 10 nieces and nephews. So when we used to get together, it was so powerful to hold hands and have a prayer before the meal, because my mother's very religious, and so we could not get away with anything without a prayer. So that energy was palpable.
Nice. My family's from the Caribbean, so we do things a little bit different. We have a very eclectic, mixed group of traditions and cultures, but we actually celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. So we have a big, giant Christmas Eve dinner, and you'll pretty much never see like traditional foods on the table. We have everything from, oxtails and, curry goat and,
Right on.
I love that.
conch and all sorts of stuff like that. So like a lot of really fantastic, traditional Caribbean, things at the table. And then, of course, the American side of our family will bring more of the American style foods. So.
And so same thing for us. Christmas Eve is the celebration. Christmas Day is like, okay, you sleep in leftovers.
Puerto Riqueña. What's up?
Yes. But with that, I want to thank you all for sitting down with the Nocturnal. Congratulations again on this fun series.
Thanks
Cheers.
so much.
Thanks for
Appreciate
joining
it.
us.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, too.
You too. How's everybody doing?
So good.
Good.
So good. It's like Christmas up in here.
We're just reminiscing
Yeah.
about the show.
I was up till 3 a.m. I'm very tired.
Fair.
Just like Christmas.
Just like Christmas.
You don't look it. I love this energy in here. It feels amazing. And
Honestly, it took 90 minutes to fix all of this. Per kid.
You all look amazing, and I'm so excited to sit down with all of you today because I got to watch the series, and it is so exciting. I mean, it is such a fun holiday twist. So, it talks about 6 different families and we're going to explore their different, family traditions, holiday traditions. And then we also run into the things that aren't so picture perfect on social media, right? Old school beliefs, old school parents, old school beliefs. Lights getting blown out, running into high school bullies. So how much fun was it to kind of bring this to the forefront?
Well, I think one of the great things is like that is what the holiday is. Like anyone who is pretending that their Christmas or their holiday or their Thanksgiving is picture perfect is lying to you, right? Like we all know that.
Yes.
And so I think one of the most amazing things about holidays is it brings up all the fun and the drama and shows that you can like love and hate someone in the exact same sentence, which I think every family can relate to.
Yeah, and I think it was just so relatable to see all these different types of relationships and like the messiness of the holidays in a way that we haven't really explored before. I thought that was really well done, and I mean, I couldn't be prouder to be part of a show like this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's actually a story from set that kind of sums it up for me, which is, we were doing lots of, we want to have fun and zany and it's the holidays and we're like infusing it with comedy and lots of joy and everything. And then Lindy and I, who play sisters, had this scene where we had this really intense fight. And we weren't sure what tonally exactly where to go with it. And we'd gotten along really well and like sisters, had been like, ribbing each other the whole time. And so when it came time to have this argument, we were invested and we really went there. And I remember us being a little nervous about like, how much can we, and our director and producer was like, no, really go there. Like have the fight. And we were like, oh, like real life at the holidays? And she was like, yes, like just go be like real life at the holidays. We were like, great.
Well, like sisters, because I have a
sisters
sister.
who fight over the holidays, yeah.
And it's like you can fight with someone and love someone, and that's a real thing. And you can make up and you can not make up, and it's at the end of the day, it's still Hallmark, but it's also still real life, and it's your family, and you're stuck with them, and
Well, I think you fight because there's love
because
there.
there's love
right?
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you feel safe.
Yeah.
And that comes across really well on screen. I loved the series, and a big part of it was also exploring different traditions. So do any of you have any really unique, really niche holiday traditions that you once thought was normal, and then you told somebody and you're like, oh, maybe not as normal?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
I, first of all, I'm Canadian, so I will very often say things and be like, like this. And people are like, yeah, we don't do that. We've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Like
Usually
celebrating Thanksgiving in
yeah.
October?
In October, I was just going to say, like, you put a turkey in the oven in October, and people are like, I'm also Canadian.
It's
People
also,
are like, what's
yeah,
wrong with you?
we're actually all Canadian. It's usually a jingle from like a childhood commercial.
Yes.
But one of my holiday traditions is my sister and I go to Santa's Runway. And I thought everyone knew what Santa's Runway was.
I don't know what Santa's runway is. I'm kidding.
So there's a very fancy neighborhood in the town that I grew up in, and all that big houses do a very extensive and expansive and expensive light show, but they line the street with little paper bags full of candles, and it looks like a runway for Santa to come and land on. And I think it's beautiful, and we go every single year. Like, I'm still going with my sister, like,
Wait,
this
what
year.
neighborhood is that? Where's that?
It's in Oakville.
I want to
very
do that
cute.
now
That
in our
sounds
So
really
cute.
nice.
But I literally thought this was something that most towns did.
That's so funny.
Nope.
Mine is it's not. So I grew up in Montreal where there's a large Jewish population, and so it was normal for me that on Christmas Day, like all the Jews, we order Chinese food. This is a thing. That's because the Chinese restaurants are always open. So Jews celebrate Christmas by ordering Chinese food takeout on Christmas Day, and this was so normal to me. And my biological father was not Jewish, so we did Christmas and we ordered Chinese food. And then I moved to Nashville a couple of years ago. And there are, not to my knowledge yet, any Jewish people that live in my neighborhood. I have yet to meet a Jewish person who lives in my neighborhood. And so when Christmas rolled around, I sent out like messages to all my new friends. And I was like, if you guys want to come over, we're ordering Chinese food. And I swear, the messages I got back were like, people were so genuinely confused. They had never heard of this.
I mean, it's funny
They
because
thought I made it up.
my tradition is
Like-
going to Chinese restaurants with the Jewish people.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Oh my God, that's amazing.
Because that's the only thing open. That's when I hang out with the Jewish people.
I love that. These are all such great traditions. The chemistry here is insane. The series is amazing. Congratulations, you guys. Thank you so much for sitting down with the Nocturnal.
Thank
for having us.
you.